Got 3 exercises. They're going to take 60 seconds each. All right, so practice number 1, willing your mind. Okay, so you've got a little pad with you and a pencil or a pen, ideally. Write down an achievement that you'd like to create in your life with the financial success that will come from your growing profitable business. Okay, so this is a goal. Ideally, it's something you want to buy, like a house or a car, or something that would give you a lot of pleasure that you're going to buy. It's going to come from your financial success when you have the profitable business that you want, when your business is at that level. And then what I want you to do is choose the aspect of that achievement that is most motivating and inspiring to you. So if it's a house that you're going to buy for yourself, what aspect of that house is going to be the most motivating? One of our students came to one of our programs, and we were doing an exercise that is kind of like this part. And he was talking about the house that he was going to buy and how he was going to paint the bedroom pink for his daughter, right? And the joy that that would give him. Now, it was gratifying, a few years later I talked to him, and he had created his success. He bought the house, and he painted the room pink, and it was very, very rewarding. Okay, so the goal that comes from the financial success is the house, and then the aspect of the achievement is the pink walls. So for you, what is the goal? What's the ultimate outcome that you want to create with your financial success? Ideally, something you're going to buy yourself, and then choose the aspect that's most motivating. Okay, good. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and I want you to hold that aspect of that goal in your mind for 60 seconds straight. Okay, I'll say it again. You're going to close your eyes and hold that aspect of your goal in your mind for 60 seconds straight. Okay, without thinking about anything else, without letting your mind wander. You're just going to keep that picture in your mind. 60 seconds. If your mind wanders off, just come back to your goal. Just picture it again. Okay? Don't get angry at yourself or get frustrated or try to, overthink this or anything. We're just going to do a 60-second practice. Okay? And I'm going to do it with you. And I've got my little clock here, my little timer, and I'm going to put it on. And 60 seconds, go. Okay, let's do this. Let's just check in and see what everyone's experience was in that one. All right. Oh, here we go. Mark says we have an estimated 70,000 thoughts a day, so it's 0.0014 watts. Mark, I love you. All right, what was your experience with holding something in your mind for 60 seconds? Right, a picture of something that you hadn't planned to hold in your mind. What happened for you? Go up to your questions box here and just let me know what it took to, what did you learn from willing for 60 seconds? Okay, Dan says it felt good. Liz says it felt more real. Maureen says made me more empowered than clearer. Johnny said it looked real. Rodrigo says it felt real. Andrea says more details filled out in my dream. And Denise says it feels possible I could have it. Lori said loads of ideas how it might appear. All right, good. Lots of others. Thanks for typing that in, your answer there. Next, how many times did your mind wander from the thing you were holding in your mind? Just guess how many times it wandered and you had to bring it back. All right, Philippe says 5 to 10. Patty says 3. Desiree said 1. Timothy says 3. Liz says 1. Tim says 4. Clay says 0. Let's see. Vicky says 2. Denise says 3 to 4. Justin said 10. Paul says 20. Holly says 2 or 3. VJ says 10 to 20. Okay. I had about 3 times that my mind wandered when I was doing it. The point, though, is to notice just how challenging it is to keep your mind focused on one thing just for 60 seconds. Yeah, that's the reference point to remember. You're imagining one of the things that you want the most, and you're even zoomed in on the aspect of it that's the most interesting to you. Okay, so this is like super juice for focus. And, we were averaging here probably, 4, 6, 8 times that we were getting distracted. And that's just in 60 seconds. Okay, so what about in 10 minutes, in 600 seconds, right? Or what about in 100 minutes, just over an hour and a half, right? So 6,000 seconds. How many times are we distracted? In other words, how is our ability to focus our will doing? All right, let's do the second exercise. Okay, they're going to get a little more challenging as we go. Practice 2, willing your emotions. Okay, so write down the name of someone that you dislike or find repulsive. Okay, let's just do that. Don't even read on here. Okay, so just write down the name of someone you dislike or find repulsive. Okay, and it can be anyone. It can be a person in your life. It can be Hitler. It can be someone that's a kind of universal scapegoat, some baddie that we all think's a bad person, or just someone you personally dislike. So just write down their name. Good. Now, imagine a quality that this person possesses that is a positive, admirable human quality. Okay, because most of the worst humans in history, if we could call them worst, or if we could even call them bad in the final analysis, actually had all kinds of interesting, positive, qualities. And as hard as that is to believe, it turns out that we're all essentially very close, in terms of our humanity. And then we have a few things that usually become problematic each. Sometimes they can be very problematic, but you get the point. Okay, so what is a quality this person possesses that is a positive, admirable quality? And what we're going to do now is we're going to hold this person and their positive quality in mind, and we're going to do it for 60 seconds. Now this is, even though we're doing a mental visualization, this is actually an emotional exercise. And what I want you to notice is I want you to notice your emotional tone while you're doing this. Okay, so it's getting increasingly challenging. You're going to notice your emotional tone while you're doing it. And pick someone that you really dislike, okay, someone that's really repulsive to you, okay, to get some extra credit here. Okay, so do this. Think of the positive quality, okay, the positive, admirable quality that they possess. And we're going to hold them in a positive light in our mind for 60 seconds. Let me get my timer going here. Go. Okay, great. Come back. All right, let's go back here and do a little interaction. What did you notice when you were doing that exercise? Okay, what did you notice? What was your experience? I just took Hitler because I had mentioned him kind of spontaneously, and I think I remember reading that he had a German Shepherd that he really loved, and he was extremely affectionate with his German Shepherd. And so I just imagined, from his perspective, experiencing affection and love and being loving and affectionate with the dog. And I noticed this interesting kind of competition of feelings inside of myself. In my stomach, there was this kind of repulsion, but in my heart, I was feeling like the warmth of petting a dog. And it was very interesting to hold that paradox inside of me. Gail says, totally stressed me out. 60 seconds felt like an hour. Liz says, surprised by tears. Andrea says, my mind wandered more the first time. Cindy says, much easier to stay focused. Maureen says, had to work hard. Timothy said, I drifted off many more times. Jennifer said, I felt not so badly toward the person. Tom says, extremely difficult to focus. Gregory, couldn't think negatively of him. Patty, the energy was heavy. Susan, empathy. Carlos, strength in my mind. Jesse, felt more okay about the person. Mario says, increased acceptance. He chose leadership in his Hitler in his leadership quality. Anita says it was a warmer experience. Okay, James says, a lot harder for me to focus and hold it. Jackie says, I tend to go back to the negative things about the person and then I get distracted. Excellent. Clay said, I had to concentrate on the action that utilized his admirable quality. Miko says, I can't emotionally relate to it. Yeah, interesting. Christina says it was a little more challenging, but my heart started to soften to him. Okay, good. So thanks everyone that participated here and contributed. All right. So again, remember this exercise. Okay, remember what you learned here from kind of an emotional will challenge. Okay, first we directed our will to our mind and our imagination. Now we used our imagination, but we did something that's more challenging emotionally for 60 seconds. Okay, 60 seconds. Who's ready to go to the next level? Who's ready? Okay, awesome. Alex, Dan, VJ, Brian, Samantha, Brenda, Gail, everyone. All right, good. Here we go. Okay, so that one was a little more challenging for most people. All right, so practice 3, willing your body. Make sure you have your bowl of ice handy and a small towel. Wait for my signal. We're going to pick up a handful of ice and hold it for 60 seconds. Okay, a handful of ice, we're going to hold it for 60 seconds. Keep your attention in the feeling your hand. Okay? Okay, keep your attention in the feeling your hand. We're going to keep holding that ice, and we're not going to distract ourselves. We're not going to think about something else. I want you to use your willpower to keep your mind directed on the sensation that you have in your hand. Okay, I've got my ice here. You can hear it again. I'm going to pick up my handful of ice. Okay, get ready. Go. Okay, good. Dry your hand. All right, so let's go back here. You might be wondering, what the hell does this have to do with growing a business? You'll see soon. All right, what was your experience? Kevin says, wow. Evan says, frostbite must suck. Timothy said, after 20 seconds, I felt more and more pain. Good. Holly says, very focused until it hurts. Vicky says, it is cold. Paul says, much easier to focus on the pain than the pleasure. Okay, good. You didn't have any trouble with your mind wandering with a handful of ice, huh? Jesse says, stinging, pulsating, wavy pain, warmth. Jerry says, painful. Jerry says, intense. David says, easy to keep attention on it. Yep. Tom says, ouch. Jackie says, it was more painful than the time I broke my ankle. Uh-huh. Tim says, pain. Mark says, changed fingers. A lot of people say pain. A lot of people are saying it was easy to focus on. Dan. Sanjay said, numb and waiting for the 60 seconds to end. Rodrigo says, it hurts at the beginning, and then it's kind of nice. Oh, that's interesting, huh? Patrick said, painful numbness. All right, good. Now, yeah, Otto said, had to will myself to keep going. Okay, good. Who had to really, marshal your will to stay in the game with this one and to not just put the ice down? Okay, so who had to really make yourself do it this time? Yeah, Timothy, Philippe, Barbara, Mario, Dennis, Justin. Good. Nina, Kristen, Jesse. Uh-huh. Good. All right. Now, who here thought of giving up? Okay, who thought of giving up? Who actually seriously considered it, at least for a moment? Yeah? Okay, good. Thanks for being honest. A lot of folks here, right? It crosses your mind, right, to give up. Cross your mind. Okay, a few people said no. Most people say yes. A couple of people said, yeah, I thought of switching hands. All right, good. Yeah, Denise says, I knew it was only 60 seconds. Yeah, gave you a little bit more willpower. Good. By the way, this is an exercise. I really like this particular one. I've done a lot of different willpower exercises. I learned this one from a woman that my wife and I took birthing classes from. We had a daughter recently, just over a couple of months ago. And my wife decided to do it all natural childbirth. And she was originally going to go into the hospital, and my wife was like, I don't want to feel nothing. Give me a C-section. And then she started looking into it and, working with some different amazing women. And she realized that this was an opportunity to do something in her life that was like climbing Everest, And so she decided to have a natural childbirth, which I really admire her for doing. And in one of the classes, what they did is they had us hold ice and hold it for 60 seconds, which is about the length of a contraction. And we did it together several times. And then we filled a bowl with water and ice and then plunged our hand into the ice water for 60 seconds, which is, going to the next level. And then we started doing it 60 seconds on and then a break for 60 seconds and 60 seconds on and then a break for 60 seconds because that's what birth contractions are like. And this is recommended by a lot of different people for practicing for contractions because, it's a kind of way to get in touch with the will that you're going to have to produce in order to give birth. I found it to be an exceptional exercise. All right. All right, so now let's take some lessons from this. Notice the feeling of your will. Okay, we did a physical, emotional, and intellectual will exercise. Reflect on each of these short experiments and remember where it felt like the direction to actually do them came from. Okay, it's a little bit of a weird kind of directive here, but reflect on each of these short experiments. Remember where it felt like the direction to actually do them came from. Okay, so I want to go back to the raising your hand above your head again, the simple one. Now this time, I want you to notice where the source of will itself is inside. Where does it feel like your will is originating? Okay, so imagine putting your hand over your head, and now do it. And as you slowly put your hand over your head, notice where does the source of will itself seem to be emanating from? Where's the control center of the will? Okay, and what does willing feel like? What is the unique feeling or signature of the act of will, or exerting your will, or directing yourself? What does it feel like to do that, and what is the source of it? And we do this because we need to get in touch with where that comes from and what it feels like to be exerting it in our lives. And then also notice where the resistance to taking an action that you've never taken before originates. Okay, so where does the resistance feel like it comes from? Now for me, and in my experience most people, the will feels like it's emanating or it's centered inside the head. And the resistance tends to be centered in the emotions and the body. Right? In fact, let's go back to the group here. Where does your will feel like it's emanating from? Just go type into your questions box there. Where does your will seem like it's emanating from? Okay, third eye area, center of head. Brian says, all in my head. Gregory says, chest. Tom says, logical brain. Justin says, behind my eyes. Desiree says, chest and heart. Mark says, gut. Okay, Nina says, my head for sure. Samantha says, between heart and throat. So you can see, Gloria says, mind. Norma says, my head for sure. Ignacio says, mind. So you notice most people, it's kind of up in the head. It doesn't have to be, right? But just notice where yours feels like it comes from. Now, when you have resistance, where does resistance seem to originate? Okay, I'll type that in your questions box. Where does your resistance come from? Bert says chest. Mark says gut. Barbara says solar plexus. Glory says my body. Luigi says my gut. Denise says gut. Christopher says emotions. Desiree says head. Gregory says the entire top of my arm. Interesting. Carlos says mind. Darius says heart. James says center of body. Okay, great. Now what we're doing here, okay, and we'll just kind of go back to the presentation. All the major growth moves that you'll make in your life will be at the edge of your comfort zone. Okay, so in Accelerate, it's my job to help you realize and actualize the next level of your own greatness. Okay, to build a high-growth, profitable business, this is one of those things that really calls on your greatness as a human being. It's going to take a lot. Okay, and this requires me to both teach you the best methods I've discovered for growing a business and to continually push you to the edge of your comfort zone. So I'm going to be asking you to do a lot of things inside of Accelerate.